So, Keith, it's been a little hard for me to listen to the radio since John's been gone. So I bought the shirt. It says, "Well, I thank you, Susan." I bought this a few years ago, but hilarious story. I'm at spring training last year, and I'm wearing this T-shirt in the stadium. And I go, "Excuse me, miss, do you know where the bathroom is?" to one of the staff members. She goes, "Yeah, it's right over there." And she goes, "I'm sorry about your loss." And I'm like, and I walked to the bathroom. I didn't think anything of it. And then as I'm coming back out, I go, "Excuse me, miss." I go, "You said you're sorry for my loss before." I'm like, "What were you indicating?" She goes, your T-shirt. Is that a family member?" And I go, "Well, yeah, he's kind of a family member, but he's very much alive. This is John Sterling, the announcer of the New York Yankees." Oh, she's like, "Bless your heart. I love that man." So
she thought it was your first spring training without Grandpa.
Yeah. You know, he always sat in section 102, and yeah, I miss John though. I got to admit, man. I was listening to the extra innings game over the weekend, and just let's say you don't know what you got until it's lost, until it's gone. Because everyone used to complain about John. I'd beg, crawl, and scratch for John Sterling back to be in the booth.
Bro, I'm cool with John. I had John on my show just a couple weeks ago, and when John got on my show, the first thing he said was, "I feel kind of awkward saying this, but I've taken a time slot at another radio station." And I'm like, "Don't feel any kind of way. I was the first person on this station to report that you were doing that so people would support you." John is one of one, and I hated when people had something to say about him not judging a ball correctly or his shtick or being too Yankee-centric, because now, without that and still having Susan, you're not hearing what you heard for 20 years. And Dave Sims, professional, friend of mine. But now that I've been getting calls about Dave, I've been listening more. Dave was a radio and TV broadcaster at the same time for the Mariners. And also, the Mariners are not good. They don't dominate anyone. They don't have the gravitas that the Yankees have. So he takes this approach as if I'm playing it down the middle. I'm broadcasting the game for the masses. No. You are broadcasting the game for the Yankees fans. If the opposing team makes a great play, we don't care. Just call it like it's a regular play. If you run into the Boston Red Sox on the 4 train, we don't care that you had a blast with them on the train. We don't rock with those guys. Like, I think Dave takes more of a national approach when this is very regional, and now you kind of get to appreciate more what John did, being a Yankee fan, wanting that Yankee job, and holding that Yankee job down for years in only the way that he could.
You know what? A lot of people, the first people to complain, no one follows you at your cubicle in your office job and critiques everything you do all day, okay? When John had been doing it for 30-plus years and hadn't missed a game like Lou Gehrig of the radio, everyone, you're going to make mistakes. But what you brought up a good point is that Dave used to do the TV broadcast. Dave's doing a TV broadcast on the radio. So when I was listening to the radio, I was lost. And you know what? I've spent probably about a combined 2 years of my life in my driveway waiting to get a score out of John Sterling, which turned out to be one of my favorite things about John.
What's the score, John? Tell us the score. We just tuned in.
It's the 4th inning. And then we saw My Fair Lady. That was October of 81. It's like, John, just want the score, please. But yeah. He is a living legend, and it's very hard to replace a living legend. But Dave doesn't have the gravitas is actually a very good word for it. We want a show. It's like the Los Angeles Dodgers. They got what's his name? The famous
Steven Nelson.
Yeah, they have a great
friend of mine as
well. Costas. They have Bob Costas do their games on the radio.
So, after Vin Scully.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe this is just a stopgap, but, John was part of my life and part of my soundtrack of growing up. And now I've just fully moved to the TV broadcast now. And the TV broadcast is good. I like when Joe Girardi's in there, and he does a really good job. And now Paul and Michael Kay are kind of
Todd
like
Frazier,
yeah, and Todd
David
Frazier
Cohn,
does a
Jack
decent job.
Flaherty,
But
Justin Shackle.
yeah, you can tell though that Susan misses John, and they try to get somebody around Susan's age and somebody that she could have some rapport with. But I'll tell you this: the Yankees, since the Boston Red Sox series, have been faltering and plummeting. Now, Keith, we said it was a big series against the Dodgers, and they came up really short in that series. Then we had the series against the Red Sox, and it was a slugfest, and it was, hey, we just didn't have the pitching. Then we get into a pitcher's duel this weekend, and we get swept by the Boston Red Sox. Now, I don't know about you. I continue to see the same problems over and over with this team, and insanity is repeating the same actions over and over and expecting different results. So my question to you, Keith, is Aaron Boone part of that insanity?
Yeah, hell yeah. He's the manager of these Yankees. And what I was saying last night is I like Aaron Boone. He is a good guy. I respect his entire sports legacy from going to USC, being a major league player, coming from a baseball family, hitting that home run against the Red Sox, becoming the Yankees manager, winning 100 games, getting them back to the World Series. Respect all of that. But this is the New York Yankees under Aaron Boone. These same things come up time and time again. And what makes fans frustrated is Aaron Boone is not going to be Ron Washington and throw a player under the bus post-game. And so when we see these egregious things like Volpe stealing third makes the out at third in extras, Jason Dominguez doesn't know how many strikes there are, makes the out at third when we're rallying. Ben Rice, for no freaking reason, the next day gets caught trying to, I don't know what he was thinking he was doing. Boone gave him a death stare, but it's like, dude, if this has happened every game of this series, it's on you as the manager. It falls under you. Not being dialed in, not being locked in, it starts at the top. And the analogy I've used is, you go to a restaurant, the service is slow, the food is bad, things are a little janky, a little off. Start at the top. The manager is not addressing every single little thing, and the establishment reflects that. Teams mimic the leadership, and unfortunately under Aaron Boone, who I've called Cool Dad, who's got the Judgy and Wellesley and Cabby nicknames, and I know these players love him, fans are getting frustrated because the same issues that we've seen with this team, we expect those same issues to stop us in October again.
Funny you mentioned restaurants. I've worked in restaurants for a large portion of my life, and whenever you ask a manager of a restaurant what is the best managing tactic that you can use, and it's fear. He goes, Erik, it's fear. That's the biggest tactic that I use, and it gets results. Exactly what Keith said. You have Dominguez, Ben Rice, and these young dudes knowing when they get back to the dugout that their ass isn't going to be reamed out, that there isn't going to be ramifications for their actions. It's going to be pat on the head, get them next time, buddy. No. Okay? When you have a team that goes into Boston 7.5 games up in first place on the Toronto Blue Jays at the time, that is a unprepared team. That is a lack of preparation and a lack of urgency. These guys were acting like they had the Division 1 already, and I have to admit, as a fan, I kind of felt the same way, that there wasn't a little bit of juice to the season. But guess what? After this weekend and after the game against the Angels last night, shit, we got plenty of juice because the Blue Jays just went 16 out of 20. The Rays just went 16 out of 20. And the Yankees are only 2.5 games above 500. So maybe we're playing too much grab ass in the locker room. Maybe it's too much of a summer camp mentality already. But Aaron Boone's been thrown out of more games than any Yankee manager in history maybe he should take some of that anger and direct it towards his team, because Judge ain't the one that's laying down the law. He's got to get Stanton, who's on the injured list, to come in and play the tough guy who doesn't even play. 2 hits last night. We'll get to that. Stanton was on point last night. Think he should come back later in the year, but that's another story for another time. But the New York Yankees completely let down their fan base and let Aaron Boone let this team let themselves down. So what's the correction here? Are we overreacting? Is it a hitter slump? Or is this really something that needs to be addressed? Because, Keith, I can't fucking watch DJ LeMahieu play second base anymore and third base. These issues we had at the end of the last of the World Series, and you still haven't addressed them. And if I hear Nolan Arenado's fucking name again, stop. He's statistically hitting one of the worst third basemen in Major League Baseball. You had Gleyber Torres in-house, who's hitting 298 in Detroit now for the best team in baseball and hitting 300, when you had the answer and the solution in-house. So, Keith, I want to know from your heart, are we overreacting? Is it the manager? Is it the baby bombers? Or is it a slump?
We're not overreacting. It's the first 4-game losing streak of the season, and it comes at the hands of the Boston Red Sox, who you had the opportunity to kill, and you didn't step on them. You didn't kill them. Back-to-back weekends from the Bronx to Beantown, they took the series from you, and if it wasn't for that 5-run inning on Friday, in the Bronx, like, they have been outclassed, embarrassed. Alex Cora and these young guys over there, they played up. They were ready for the Yankees, so much so, after sweeping the Yankees, they said, bye, Rafael Devers, don't need you, happy trails, idiots, but whatever.
Yeah,
With the Yankees,
get to that.
There needs to be a level of seriousness. Like, I feel like they're so unserious. I feel like they live off of the Yankees of the past. I feel like the fans start talking about Judge, Triple Crown, MVP, and then he slumps, is swinging out of his shoes, striking out, and they go as he goes. And like you already mentioned, he's not a rah-rah guy. He's not a yeller. He'll pull a guy to the side, but he shouldn't have to pull Volpe, Dominguez, Rice, even Trent Grisham. There was that play where Trevor Story was just hustling into a double where Trent Grisham, as casual as he is, scoops the ball up, gets it in slow. Volpe is unaware of Trevor Story running right up his back, and he's in there at second, and it's like, come on, guys. But you know what? Boone has defended Grisham last year.
Of course he has. Of course he has. He's the most lackadaisical dude. He's acting like he's got his car running while he's playing center field. Yo, man, listen, I don't know about you. It might be cool to, like, run to a spot and fake out Aaron Judge, your $400 million man, and possibly get him hurt. I saw Aaron Judge say to him in the outfield, he goes, yo, man, he gives him one of these because he didn't say anything to him, and he just goes and catches it over Aaron Judge's shoulder. I'm tired of the cool guy shit.
It doesn't do anything for me because it comes back to bite you. Doing everything so cavalier and so nonchalant, yeah, like, it's cool, but it doesn't need to be all the time, because when you do take that approach on a ball that hits the ground and goes in front of you, not trying to, like, hustle too hard or be so fundamentally sound, you're getting got. This is where we're at, bro. Like, the game last night just made everything 5 times worse. If it wasn't bad enough to be swept by the Boston Red Sox with Garrett Crochet owning Judge, like, struck him out like 6 times in a row. Yeah. They couldn't score. Volpe in extras running into outs at third. DJ gets ejected. Boone gets ejected. Like, that game was trash on Friday. You come back Saturday, Hunter Dobbins lied about being drafted by the Yankees, or his pops being drafted about the Yankees. His dad lied to him his whole life. But look what it turned him into. A starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox that shoves his first 2 times in the rivalry. They can't do anything in that game until late. Carlos Rodón has now turned back into somewhat of the Carlos Rodón that we worried about. And then Sunday,
God bless,
Max Fried, the stopper. Okay, Max Fried's the stopper.
He's
but
allergic
you can't
to
score.
bad baseball, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of talking about the same things with this team. This Yankee arrogance, this, like, air of, like, we're better than others when you're not. Alex Cora and the Red Sox were ready for you.
Somebody
the
messaged
Anaheim
me.
Angels, led by Ron Washington, were ready for you. We're going to take Judge out of the game. He's not going to get his last 2 at-bats. We're going to bring in Strickland to face Volpe. Volpe's going to swing at the first pitch, and we're going to beat you in your building in 11 innings with Manfred's man on second. We're able to get that run across, and you cannot.
Yeah. Somebody messaged me, why do you think the Red Sox own the Yankees? I wrote back 2 words to him. Alex Cora.
Alex Cora, of course.
He owns the Yankees. He owns Aaron Boone. So let's add to the laundry list of managers in his own division that own Aaron Boone. That's Kevin Cash. That's Cora. And the Dodgers, David Roberts owns him now. Why the fuck am I still watching DJ LeMahieu play baseball at second base?
15 mil.
I know. I understand. It's a rhetorical question, but I'm literally asking them why I still got to see 2 left feet. I don't care what defensive play he plays. I see him taking time away from youth. I see him taking time away from development. I don't care if he's making $16 million. You'll make that in beer sales in a weekend against the Red Sox at the stadium. Also, you mentioned old Yankees. You know, they're living in the shadow of the old Yankees. They got to win something before they can get out of that shadow. And I bet you they are tired of hearing to nauseum about the baby bombers and Derek Jeter and the Core Four and all that shit. But guess what? Start winning some games. Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe make me absolutely fucking sick. Okay? Either Anthony Volpe's a double or he's nothing. Does not work productive at bats. Then you have Austin Wells making too many breakfast burrito goddamn videos. Maybe you should be in the batter's box, okay? You're 21th in hitting out of catchers in Major League Baseball. You're 26th in defensive metrics now. So what's up? All we have is left-handed catchers on this team. So even though Brian Cashman did a great job in the Juan Soto pivot, we still got the same problems that we lost the World Series with. Okay? So we shored up first base, but we still have these same guys on the team, and I don't think that Anthony Volpe is making it to his next contract with the New York Yankees because they got Lombard Jr. in the wings waiting for this guy. So, Keith, they come out of the loss, and they lose to the Angels last night, and I understand that's baseball, Susan, but not against the Angels. That is even worse or more egregious than the sweep because that just shows that Boone doesn't have the urgency. He should have these guys coming working at bats. They're not working at bats, and they're getting easy outs.
Bro, the Angels were swept by the Orioles coming into this series. We swept them in their building just a week ago. It's inexcusable.
Yeah.
The Orioles scored 11 runs on this team Sunday, and then they fly from Baltimore to New York on Monday, and they only need 1 run to beat us. It's a make-or-break season for my guy Anthony Volpe, one of us, New Jersey, New York, grew up a Yankee fan, all that. It pains me to see him swinging on that play where Dominguez is going to third. Again, another out at third when, you know, his helmet hit Rengifo, but that ball is hit right to Dominguez. Man, if you see him going, take that pitch. Like, where is the awareness? And even, like I said, with Strickland, that's a slider, first pitch, bases loaded, you're the last out of the game. How are you not walking up to the plate with extra time because Ron Washington did make a pitching change, thinking about your approach, thinking, I got to take a pitch if it's an off-speed pitch, if it's a breaking ball, instead of just getting overzealous and grounding out to end the game, and that's it. Austin Wells is another one. He was supposed to be a bat-first guy. He had a decent stretch this last couple weeks hitting against the Red Sox, hitting against the Royals, but it's just not consistently good enough. The bottom of the lineup was brutal yesterday, and DJ, this is not prime DJ. My beef with DJ was that, and this goes on Boone.
Yeah, because prime DJ was in 2019.
Yeah, that was, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I'll give him. But like, okay, so why are we still acting like this is prime DJ LeMahieu? Because he hit a home run, a couple short porch home runs. They put the bunt on for him. He misses, bunts foul. Then Boone takes the bunt off and lets him swing away. He proceeds to strike out with the next 3 pitches, and it's like, what are we doing?
Like, why you even have it? Why you even have him in the game if you're going to bunt at that point?
Make him bunt till he has 2 strikes, and then make him bunt.
Well, you know what it is, Keith. You played sports. You know how it is. When you get nervous or you tighten up on the field, your awareness goes to dog shit, right? So, like, this is the problem. This is going to be also we gotta. Okay. So I'm gonna play nice guy for 2 seconds. We also got to cut these guys a break, okay? With the youth movement that we've had and the pivot that we've had, these young guys are going to have their warts. They're going to have their learning lessons. So in a few years, if Jason Dominguez does that mistake again, then we have a problem.
Sure.
But if he doesn't do it again, I have to admit, in Dominguez's defense, it seems like he does learn from his mistakes. His left field has been better.
Yep.
A bunch of plays off of the monster this week in Fenway were very good defensive plays. So I'll give him a pass. But somebody like DJ LeMahieu is an albatross, okay? You are a black hole of salary. You're a black hole of talent. You are clogging up this goddamn team. Oswaldo Cabrera didn't help anything getting hurt on third base, but hello, we didn't have a third baseman to begin with. Oswaldo Cabrera is a bench player. He is a Swiss Army knife plus, okay? That guy's not walking through the fucking door in the All-Star break. This is why you had to address this situation in the off season. All it took was, another $11 million to get somebody decent? And also, I'll tell you this, man. Every time I see that Matt Chapman deal in the San Francisco Giants from the Toronto Blue Jays for 4 years for $50 million for fucking nothing, and a Gold Glove third baseman or a Gio Urshela, I get upset because that's going to be the difference between winning a World Series and not winning a World Series. Now, Devers, the Yankees get swept. I'm down the dumps, licking my wounds. I'm talking to my Boston Red Sox fan friend, and he goes, if you hear a shotgun, it's me. And I go, what does that mean? He goes, Devers just got traded to the Giants. So I was like, here the Red Sox, they just swept the New York Yankees. I was like, are they sellers right now? But no, we knew about this. He was the third baseman. Alex Bregman comes in.
Right.
They move him to DH. Then they want to move from DH to first baseman. After the first baseman gets hurt, he tells them to fuck off. Now he's gone. Keith, was this a bonehead move from the Red Sox, or was this the right move for their locker room?
It's what they do. They traded away Mookie Betts. I was joking about them trading Babe Ruth and trying to trade Ted Williams in the bar in a drunken story that we always hear about. What I think is this is egos, and this is a problem they created. And that's what I've gotten from Jared Carrabis and Section 10 and a lot of these Red Sox fans. They're saying, you did this. You paid him. And what do you have, buyer's remorse now? And now you're trying to flip it like your best player, a guy that was probably headed to the All-Star game this year as a Red Sox, who did figure it out as a DH. And then you did call up some guys and find other guys like Abraham Toro or Romy Gonzalez on top of Marcelo Mayer, like guys that can play first base where you didn't need him to play first base. So he settled in as a DH, but your ego was so big that you had to teach this guy a lesson and try and send a message to all the younger players that came up. There was a report today that Christian Campbell upset Rafael Devers because when Devers said he didn't want to have to play first base or didn't want to learn how to play first base, Christian Campbell stepped up and said, I'll do it. Of course, he's just happy to be here. He's a whole kid. When he homered Sunday against us, he was kind of sitting like on the top of the bench in the dugout by himself. It was kind of weird. Like, I think he started to distance himself from this version of the Red Sox. And I think Craig Breslow and John Henry said, okay, salary dump. Let's get this guy's money up out of here. And we've got the young guys that can fill in and play, but I think they're going to end up regretting that for sure.
You're talking about a guy that owns the New York Yankees. That's a big bonehead move. And you got to always remember your ego's not your amigo half the time. And it seems like the Boston Red Sox ego is getting in the way of their baseball decisions. But you know what, man? You guys signed the contract. Rafael Devers does actually warrant, if you look at his contract from what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got, I mean, it's kind of actually an okay contract. The San Francisco Giants
Look at Juan Soto's contract.
Yeah, I know. I just don't. I just like. I hate bringing his name up. It's like the third round. Like I just want to let him go bye bye.
Like
No,
he's hitting better than Soto.
you're exactly right.
What he's making compared to Soto for his production at the plate, they tweaked, bro. This was another. We think we're smarter than everybody else. You know who's smart? Buster Posey. Buster Posey, who was the GM of the Giants and was the catcher and leader of that team when they were winning, and he's tired of bowing down to the Padres and losing to the Dodgers, and he said, "Oh, we could use a bat. Who would you like?"
Well, the
Jordan
Giants.
Hicks.
Yeah, the Giants have been whiffing on free agents.
Jordan Hicks. They don't care about Jordan Hicks.
The Giants have been whiffing on free agents since Alex Carrera, like 3 years ago.
Because no one really wants to go out there.
It's Toronto of the West. No one wants to go to the Blue Jays. They try to give them $1 billion. Nobody wants to play for him. And then the San Francisco Giants. But the San Francisco Giants have their new panda, Pedro Sandoval 2.0, because you know that boy's going to blow up on third base. But I think this is great for the Yankees. Cole's dancing, doing an awkward dance somewhere. It's like, hey, man, I didn't like that guy too much. But Devers owned his ass. Devers seemed like he was starting to own Max Fried as well, the guy that we just started. But also, getting back to Carlos Rodón, okay? So now the honeymoon's over. We had a different Carlos in the beginning of the year. Just like last year, the Yankees had some of the best pitching staff in baseball, right? And then they plummeted, just like the Mets are doing. The Mets and Yankees start to this year is very similar to each other of last year. The Yankees had great pitching that wasn't expected, and then it came back to earth. The Mets are doing the same thing right now. In the beginning of the season, Keith, we were asking questions like, where are the runs going to come from, right? Where is the run production going to come from? So what I'm getting scared about is a mix between Carlos Rodón coming back to earth, becoming his mental self again, and then a hot team who's the number one in all offensive metrics in the American League comes back to earth because, one, the book gets out on him, and two, these rookies are starting to get tired and haven't played a full season yet.
Yeah, we're in a combination of both. And also, Judge is not going to hit 400 all year. Judge was due for a slump. Last year, he slumped the first month. Now in the third month, he's slumping. Rodón is a paper tiger, and I really was pumped up. I wanted to believe in the beard. I wanted to believe this guy has grown a beard, and he's back to being an ace. Somebody called and asked me if he was, pitching better than Max Fried, or who do I believe in more, him or Max Fried? I'm like, Max Fried, what are you talking about?
He's got the mental makeup.
This guy, there was a point in the game, Christian Campbell, who I was just talking about, he's in the box and he turns his foot so that he's hit by pitch.
Yeah.
And Rodón barks at the ump, and the ump comes out and says something to him. And every time something like this goes on, I'm like, this is the unraveling. This is like, okay, so Christian Campbell gets on.
The littlest thing.
Of course, he ends up scoring, goes from first to home. The kid can run. But this guy got on from a hit by pitch. That's a little small thing that is going to make Rodón bleed out, and they couldn't overcome it.
Listen, you got guys who are liabilities. The Yankees going to make the postseason. Clark Schmidt's start last night was excellent.
Brilliant. But when you needed it.
But you know what? This is the thing. This is empty calorie performances. You can't be, and I know that you're not. I'm just speaking to the general audience here, Keith. Is you can't be fooled by the empty calorie baseball. And what I mean by that is Clark Schmidt's performance last night. Yeah, it's great. But I can't hang my hat on it because 2 starts ago, again, in a big leverage situation, he was dog shit. Now against the Anaheim Angels, who can make a pitcher look really good because they're really not a great hitting team. So I want to see these guys do it in the big spot. This is the biggest problem that I have, Keith, and this is what keeps me up at night, is that the Yankees are going to beat up on who they should beat up. But all I've seen this year is in big spot after big spot, this team has failed. They haven't had any comeback wins. I think maybe they've had one walk-off win. It's the first time in about 6 years under Aaron Boone. Like, I remember under Joe Girardi, these teams were never out of a game.
Yeah.
These teams,
you could feel it.
And now it turned out when the first couple of years of Aaron Boone's managerial career was we were lucky if we got 3 runs and just hope for really good pitching. Now we're like the Baltimore Orioles of 2 years ago where we score all these runs and have no pitching. So it's empty calories baseball. Dude, they better get their shit straight because I think they got – who do they got? They got the Toronto Blue Jays, okay?
They got to go to Toronto.
We got – Angels in Baltimore this week. Okay, let's say if they do what they're supposed to do, the Yankees will win. Okay, then we got a Terry Francona-led Cincinnati Reds team that I think will actually play the fucking Yankees pretty tight. So that's pretty tough.
At the end of the month, they go to Toronto.
Then you got Toronto, and then you got the New York Mets on the 4th of July weekend. So I'm telling you, New York Yankees, this is a PSA. Please stop fucking up. Because if you don't get your shit straight in the next week and a half, you got the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto and you got the New York Mets on the 4th of July weekend. And you could find yourself in 3rd place if this shit don't get straightened out real quick.
Yeah, and what a joke that would be. I said last night, if the Tampa Bay Rays pass us at any point playing in the Boss and George M. Steinbrenner Field, like we literally gave them our spring training home, like that's a joke. This is what people are calling another Boone June, and I'm running with it. Boone and June rhyme, and it's like, yo, last year was a gauntlet because of the teams and the talent we faced. The year before, it was Judge running into the wall. Yeah, no June swoon. It's a Boone June. Like, they start to regress in June. They start to get comfortable. They start to feel themselves. Yeah. And on a night like last night, I'll give Clark some credit. He has been going deeper into games. I still don't know what version of him we're going to get, but last night against Jorge Soler and Christian Moore, a whole rookie, Judge gave him a triple in his first hit that, Judge played into a triple. Clark did retire 16 in a row, and he did stand up to try to stop the bleeding, but these guys couldn't score. You had Jazz with a leadoff double. You had Stanton with a leadoff double. They just left runners on at a high clip. And that shows me that they weren't ready to compete. I'll give them some grace because baseball is going to baseball. There were a bunch of teams swept this past weekend. And also, they are in a stretch of 16 straight games without a break. But there's enough talent on this team. You just got Stanton back, right? Goldschmidt had to sit last night. Dominguez was sitting last night. They have more than enough talent to score 2 runs or 1 run to beat the Anaheim Angels, and they're coming up fraudulent, and all of the chinks in their armor are starting to show.
And also what's not helping is that Jonathan Loáisiga's return has been lackluster, to put it nicely.
He's fine. That pissed me off.
What
I'm
are you doing?
Mad at him.
It's another dude who has some of the best stuff in Major League Baseball, and he relies way too much on that fastball. He's a
one-inning guy. Like, you use him for 3 outs, done. And because of not having Luke Weaver, Jake Cousins not coming back, other guys missing, last night, were we going to throw Ian Hamilton? No. Loáisiga throws 12 pitches. He looks good. We bring him back out.
He's next on the list in my shit list of the week. Between him and Loáisiga, bro, they're the same exact pitcher. Their shit is not moving, okay? Their fastballs are planing off, and if you watched Loáisiga last night, he was throwing curveballs high in the strike zone last night. Yeah, I think that they're just telling him to change this up. You need to throw some breaking stuff. It was kind of like who threw all the breaking balls last year? Canely. Remember Canely in the
change-ups.
Only change-ups all year. And during the playoffs, I was like, if you throw one goddamn fastball, it's going to make everybody honest.
Yep.
So that's what you need to do is I think these guys get into, they fall in love with their pitch. And Jonathan Loáisiga, you're exactly right. 3 outs, flamethrower, should be a 7th inning, 8th inning guy. If you start to get your shit right, put him in the 8th inning. But right now, if your starter don't go enough and you got 2 guys on, bring him in and flamethrow, and then he's done. You're exactly right. They're trying to stretch him too much. Devin Williams has been great. I'm not going to complain about that dude. He's got a little David Roberts in him. I used to call David Roberts Houdini because he loved to put 2 to 3 guys on base every time he closed the game out, but somehow he'd make it work. So Devin Williams works through trouble all the time. And, hey, man, I think that this is part of us being Yankee fans and New York baseball fans in general is that we're fucking mental. But I sniff something that we got a small leak right now. Okay? We need to plug it up, or this thing could get really big really quick.
Sure.
And then we start taking on water.
Yeah, Boone is going to be under fire because all of this stuff happened in the World Series. We thought we fixed it and addressed issues, and here they are again. And Judge got to get a little scrutiny as well. You're the captain. We know you're not a rah-rah guy, but tighten these guys up, make sure they're locked in, and you got to do it. You know, go back to the last game of the Royal Series. Judge, the story came out. 2 stories came out quickly here. Judge said that he wanted to play in that 3rd game of the Royal Series. It was scheduled rest going into the series. He knew he would be out. He made a proposition to Boone. He said, hey, if I homer in the first 2 games, can I go in the 3rd game against Lugo? He homers in the first 2 games. Boone is on the fence about it, but then rests him. And then he does get 1 pinch hit at bat, and he gets hoed by the umpire. Remember that slider that was down and in? It was the same pitch. At first, it was a ball. Then it was strike 3, whatever. That cooled Judge all the way off. Just as he was rolling, he ties Calorie for the lead for home runs in all of baseball. Like, he was rolling. And then he's owned by Garrett Crochet. He hasn't been really, able to get back. And as he goes, the team goes. There was another article in ESPN about him talking to Anthony Rizzo, the ghost of Anthony Rizzo, and Rizzo saying, when you're a Yankee, either you win the World Series or you're a failure, and it's on us to teach these young guys the Yankee way. What the hell are you talking about? Rizzo, you won the World Series with the Chicago Cubs. Congrats on that. That was 108 years in the making, but that's got nothing to do with this. Judge has been a part of the last 8 years, longer now, 9 years from 2016, right, to now, of Yankees that can't get it done. Get to the ALCS, can't get it done. Got to the World Series, struck out a bunch of times, dropped the pop-up, embarrassed themselves.
I'll tell you this. You know what that is? That's Rizzo indirectly trying to get Aaron Boone's managerial job. If he gets fired, Judge would be like, bring Anthony Rizzo in. He can coach this team. And then also the curse of third base. We had 3 outs at third base in Boston over the weekend, and if you notice last night, the Angels hit over third base, get thrown out at third base in extra innings, and then the last out was at third base. So I don't know what's going on with that base, but we need to throw some sage up.
I blame Luis Rojas. That's his fault.
We need to break that funk up a little bit, because guess what? In extra innings, guys, it is simply stupid to try to steal third base. If you're telling me that you can't hit a ground ball to the second baseman or a pop fly in the outfield, this team is in bigger problems.
The guy over, hit a sac fly. The Yankees have no strategy in extra innings, and that's the league's strategy. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. We're grown-ass men watching Manfred's man on second. I never imagined that I'd become an adult, that I'd work in sports media, and I'd be watching baseball games that they're like, hey, let's get this over with. Put a ghost runner on second. It's fake baseball. It's not real baseball. So you have to come up with the fake strategy because they don't implement this in October. It's just so regular season games don't go long. And I got time. I'm not in a rush.
And you know who that only benefits? The worst team.
Sure.
The Angels last night let's say if they even lost the game, that gives them an equal footing shot to beat a better team than them, which is complete bullshit. It's like some gymnasium bullshit. But listen, the Yankees tonight, if they beat the Angels, I'm going to try to put a positive spin on to end this, is that the Yankees did have a lot of loud outs last night, and they did have 7 hits.
Dead ball. There's a dead ball.
Dead ball. A lot of home runs did not go out of the stadium last night. Also, who wrote to Manfred about the baseballs? Oh, Andrew McCutchen wrote to Manfred about the baseballs and said that the ball is dead this year.
And then Eno Saris and Evan Drellick, 2 guys which I know that are both they're deep journalists on baseball. I read their article in the New York Times last night. It's fact that there are facts as far as how many balls are dying. The drag,
apparently they raise
the seams on the ball. Like, they have a lot of things where, even Eno replied to me, because what I said last night on Twitter, I go, the dead ball narrative is alive and well. And I meant specifically for Yankees Twitter blaming Judge is hit. Trent Grisham's hit. Goldie's almost hit. 2 of Belly's hits. That they weren't hits. They were long outs, but they off the bat had everybody like the narrative that these, that the dead balls were in Yankee Stadium. It has something to do with the weather. It has something to do with these guys. But people are like, it's not a narrative. It's fact. Okay, it's fact. But nobody was saying that shit when we were hitting with torpedo bats.
Yet. When we broke the record for home runs in a game, no one was talking about that. But what they aren't talking about is, this is when I put down the old detective cap, okay? So in Japan, in the Japanese leagues in baseball, the seams are raised. Major League Baseball is trying to emulate the product of the Japanese baseball because less guys have shoulder and elbow injuries, right? So I think what the baseball did was they silently raised the seams on it because guess what that takes care of? Spider tack. So if you start to raise the seams on the baseball, you won't have to doctor it with sticky shit, which baseball just cut down on. And the spin rate in baseball dropped dramatically last year after they started trying to break guys for the sticky stuff. So that could be raising the seams. But indirectly, that's going to hurt baseball. Chicks dig the long ball at the end of the day. We want to see runs. We want to see juiced out players in the 90s hit bombs, or at least I do. Keith, tell them where they can find you this week.
Yeah, everywhere. At Keith_McPherson on Twitter. Keith McPherson on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is McPherson Brand. And I'm on WFAN every night this week after the Yankees post game. I'll also be at Fanatics Fest on Saturday hosting 4 to 7 p.m. live from the Javits Center. I'm not hard to find.
All right, check them out.